So, yeah, that's kind of a sudden thing. Oh my god, this is really weird. These mics are really good.
So I was going down a steep hill.
That joke means nothing to everybody past that point that couldn't hear you without the mics on.
I said Meryl Steep. Anyone? Nah.
Don't laugh. Don't applaud.
Please don't have started the Twitch stream. Please don't have started the Twitch stream. Okay. Are we live? Are we live on the internet? That's see the critters got
thumbs
it.
up.
The
There's
critters
thumbs
got it.
up.
There's a
Yay!
thumbs up.
See, look.
Are we
Two
live?
people.
Yeah, we're live. We're
We are live. Hello.
Are we?
Hi. Yes.
Yeah, we are. Hello.
Who said that?
Hello.
The people who gave us the thumbs up.
Okay. Well, in that case, hello everybody. Welcome to a High Rollers panel. I can't remember exactly what I called it when Penny Arcade asked me for the description, but it was something about us having British accents. Obviously, you can tell that from us speaking now.
That's our main selling point.
Real British accent.
Real British accents.
Wow.
High Rollers, the D&D stream with real British accents. Welcome. This is our first time here at Thank you.
Ah!
Oh, yay! Yay!
A little bit more,
No.
Don't push it, Tom.
Okay.
but then more again.
You've given him far too much power.
Oh, love it.
So I guess we'll do a little bit of a quick introduction for those of you who don't know who we are and for the stream at home. And this is pretty much a generic Q&A panel. We didn't plan anything super special for it because I didn't expect it to be in a room this size.
Yeah.
So think of questions. I think what we're going to do is there is a microphone in the aisle. There's a couple. If we just get you guys lined up, if you think of something, just jump on and line up, and then we're just going to rattle through them once we've done some introductions.
Sure.
And I think that's pretty much how this is going to go. Like, ask us anything. It can be about our D&D show. It can be about living in
D&D in
England.
general, yeah.
You can just ask us to say funny words in a British accent if you really want.
That's not.
Trousers.
Bottle. We're wasting them all.
Anyway.
Anyway, so we are 3 members of High Rollers D&D, which is a British streaming
Conglomerate
stream, British D&D stream that runs off of the Yogscast Twitch. We also have our own Twitch called High Rollers D&D. I'm the Dungeon Master, Mark Sherlock Humes, and I am joined by...
I wasn't expecting it. I'm Katie. Hi, I'm one of the players. I play Ayla, who is a wild elf barbarian, and she's pretty badass. And we're also joined by...
Oh, is that me?
Yeah.
I am Tom, and I play Keelek Ad Kalar, or Quill, who is a bird man, Aarakocra, bard slash cleric. So he's
How many levels in each one?
1 in bard. I don't even know why I keep saying bard slash cleric, but level 6.
Well done.
In cleric.
I'm glad you remember.
Yeah.
Are you? We're level
I don't
6.
know.
I know.
I can't
You're
remember.
level 5 in cleric. I feel like you should know that and not me.
Yeah, you
But
should.
anyway.
Okay, as long as you don't ask that question.
This is actually, so the characters that the guys just talked about are from our second campaign, which is called Erois. It's a homebrew world that I've designed and developed over the last kind of like year or so, and it's streamed every Sunday on our Twitch channels at 5 p.m. UK time, which if you ask me in PST, I don't know. But you can work it out with the many fabulous resources on the internet.
9
a.m.?
Yeah.
9 a.m. I'm getting some nods of PST 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
But we also ran a campaign before that. We did a campaign for 2 years called Lightfall, which was our first kind of foray into streaming, really, and kind of built us to the point we are at now. We also do we do various mini campaigns, which are about 10 episodes long, that you can check out on our YouTube. Those are often in partnership with Wizards of the Coast, where we do like their new modules and things like that. We've had many crazy micro campaigns of unbridled chaos.
Yeah, which I spoke to someone today, and it was their first experience of us was one of those campaigns.
Yep.
Was
Sorry, Rogue's
which
Gambit.
one was it? Rogue's Gambit?
It was
Yeah,
Rogue's Gambit.
the one with Bertie.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Which was, I had intended to be Mission Impossible in Dungeons and Dragons, and very quickly became Get Smart in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that's kind of like what we do and who we are. Before we start with the questions, I do want to give a massive thank you to Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realm, because they're the guys who flew us out here to do signings. Yeah, good round of applause, please, for those guys.
They're great.
Yeah, the Idle Champions team, they were the ones who like brought us out here to do signings, to do this panel, and
Yes.
to do all sorts of stuff going on throughout the week. So we really appreciate that because this is our first time at PAX.
First time
Yeah.
ever at
Our
PAX.
first PAX. We have been to the US before, but I've always wanted to do a PAX. I'm a big AC Inc. nerd myself, so this was really cool for me. And then the other thing, before we get to the questions, is if you are here on Monday, or if you're watching home on Twitch, we're going to be doing a very last-minute live D&D game on the main stage, which we are not going to fill, but hey, we're going to do it anyway.
Yeah.
We're going to be on the main stage, the Paramount Theater, on Monday, 12 till 2. We're joined by Nathan Sharp of Nate Wants to Battle, from Dice Camera Action, who's going to be joining us as Polton, and Aaron M. Evans, who's a fantasy author, a Dungeons & Dragons fantasy author, who's going to be joining us as well. Yeah, woo! And we're going to be playing a live game, 12 till 2. It's a one-shot. You can tune in, even if you've never seen our stuff before. Come along and watch it. Tell your friends. All of you here need to bring at least 2 or 3 other people if you can.
Yeah.
Please.
It'll be fun. It'll be great. So yeah,
And that's the introductions, I think.
I think
I don't have anything else to say.
Please check out the Idle Champions booth. Should we talk about the other people who are in our team?
No.
No.
They're not here. Oh, yeah, well,
He doesn't matter. It's fine.
no one cares. Exactly, thank you. No one cares. He's not here. He's doing some weird hat film stuff, no doubt.
Loser.
Well, yeah, that's true. Yeah, he does have a very cute dog.
Yeah. So do people want to line up on the microphones and
let's-
ask
Yeah.
the questions?
We're going. Now you
Okay,
have
we've
to
got
get
one.
out of
Right, okay,
your,
good.
your seats.
Maybe we'll get-
that's
Get
the
a few
awkward
people.
part.
Everyone get your confidence
Yeah, just
up.
get like a queue going, and
Yeah,
then
yeah,
once
yeah.
some people start asking, then you can just chip in.
Any
Yeah.
question.
Any question you want.
Go for it.
Anything.
So make sure it's on and like
Hello?
speak in.
Okay.
There we
Yeah.
I was wondering, what is your favorite experience in a game where you threw your GM completely off plan?
Well, that's Rogue's Gambit. It has to be, right?
Just every single episode of that campaign.
Yeah.
No, I don't know.
Actually, I would say Erois has had some pretty big.
Oh, yeah, no, there
blindsiders
was.
as well.
Yeah.
So we're going to preface answering this question with there might be some spoilers because
yeah.
some stuff.
Who's
is,
not
Well-
caught up?
We'll be vague.
Okay, we'll be vague.
Sorry.
We'll be vague.
But there was something that happened in a very recent episode where I think we skipped like 4 different areas of planning that Mark had. And we just jumped right to the end of that sort of mission.
Yeah.
To the point where he was like, I need to just go and plan a continent. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's probably the biggest sort of. I think that's the biggest one. Can you think of any more that we've really like? Is there any from your perspective?
It's kind of funny because I feel like the stuff with Voxar and the continent shift it wasn't necessarily a huge curveball because I had like 2 paragraphs or like 2 sentences, which was if all of this other stuff happens, this will happen. So I knew it was a possibility, but it was
But he didn't think it was
no,
gonna happen.
absolutely not. It was like a really small. Well, if all of this stuff plays out and everything else happens, then this will happen. But the more recent thing, which was all around a recent kind of like arc that we're going through involving a flying city, a murder mystery kind of vibe with a murdered
Vague.
family.
Vague.
Oh, well, that's kind of vague.
Yeah.
Vague enough.
And in that, I'd kind of planned a whole session which was going to be like a go down into the kind of like poorer part of the city, and you're going to do an investigation and hunt for clues and interview suspects and stuff.
Nope.
And then this guy
Yep.
just had a brainwave, like a proper galaxy brain moment of just.
And yeah, just skip the entire thing. And I guess that was a good chance for you to flex your. I can't think of the word, so that's the word. to forget.
Improvisational.
Improvisational. I don't have it apparently.
No.
Yeah, and it turned out to be a super, super cool thing that happened. And even though it was just totally unplanned from you, well, not totally unplanned,
No.
but it still turned out really, really cool. And
I think Rose Gambit there was quite a lot as well.
yeah, Rose Gambit, I mean, you had a plan, and then you basically, at one episode, you were just like, yeah, it's not going the way I want it to, so I'm going to make this the worst for you.
I introduced Crazy Wizards. I think there was the one thing in Rose Gambit that you did, Tom, which was playing Bertie, a very stupid Goliath boxer. And I gave you a Helm of Teleport, which was probably the
Yeah.
worst idea I could have done.
Yeah.
And
Or the best.
or the best. And I think, was it you teleported to go see your mum?
Yeah. Yeah.
That took me off guard.
Some giants in a completely different continent, probably. And it all turned out super, super cool. And I feel like you can't really tell the stuff you've planned and unplanned because you're such a genius, Mark.
Except when you say, what's the name of the horse rider? And he's looking on his screen like, let me find 2 syllables and
Unless
make a
you
name
say,
on the spot.
My name is Lucius Virian Elwin Elanasto. Repeat that back to me.
Lucius Virian Elwin Elanasto.
Okay, all right.
Not. So those are kind of like, I guess, our moments of madness.
Sorry, that was quite a long one, I just realized.
We ramble, by the way, like, especially me. I'm terrible for just going on tangents.
I mean, there's about only 4 other people behind me right now.
All right, cool. We can, like, take some time. Yeah.
Well, if you want some really in-depth answers, get your questions in.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Come on. Nice
Thank you for
community,
asking.
round of applause.
You started that.
So, out of curiosity, what has been some of the most broken characters, class, cross-wise, perhaps, that you've ever thought up? And or how do you feel about monks?
So
Especially
what are the
Aarakocra monks.
Which one?
Aarakocra monks.
Aarakocra monks, yeah. So the question was, what are the
Yeah.
most powerful things you can think of? Just repeating about like class combos.
I think Arias was very cool. That was the Ranger fight? No,
Were there
Ranger
any
Rogue
really dumb
combo, and I
ones,
never
though?
really thought about that, but that's amazing.
Well, it's because she built her ranger in a certain way where she took like the hunter staff, and then she took a monster slayer thing, which was like an extra D8 on top of all of her attacks, plus hunter's mark, plus sneak attack, plus she was a half orc, so her crits were particularly brutal. Plus, she had something else that she'd done, and it just kind of mounted up and things like that.
Basically, Rhiannon makes really cool characters.
Very
that we're
cool
trying to say.
Well,
But there's-
power-wise, I'm going to look this direction.
What?
Do you want to talk about druids? Circle of the Moon druids?
I mean, that's not a multi-class or anything.
No, but
Yeah, that's not my
They don't
fault.
die.
That's how it is in the book. Like, so many people said to me, "Oh, Alora's so OP," and they say it to me like I've purposefully constructed this thing to be OP, and it's my fault. And I'm like, it's in the player's handbook, dude. Like,
Yeah.
they're just OP. They just are. They're great. I love Circle of the Moon Druids, and now as of this campaign, Mark said no to anyone playing a Circle of the Moon Druid.
well, it's not that I said no. Rhiannon wanted to play one.
You
and I
very
said,
strongly suggested
I
not
said
to.
you could absolutely do that, but we did just have a Circle of the Moon
We
druid.
did just have one that I could not knock
You
down.
can pick that, but they're going to die very early.
I don't think I've looked at Aarakocra Monk though. Like, is that like a particularly broken?
I feel like Way of the Sun Soul, if you had an Aarakocra with Way of the Sun Soul, that would be pretty cool, no?
Yeah, is it?
I guess cool.
They've got ranged
It's pretty
attacks,
fun.
though, and they can fly.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh yeah, it's pretty fun.
It's fun. Try it. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
maybe
Yes.
I mean,
that's a mischievous face. Just like try it.
I am no good at making overpowered characters because I just like to hurt them before they even
Well,
start
there
playing
was
them.
what was Aquamumba? He was like
Oh,
one
God.
level of
He was
everything.
one
in
level of
Player's
everything.
Handbook.
He was Bard Monk Rogue, which. I mean, this is the man who was a trickster cleric for 2 years.
I think was he a wizard as well?
No.
No.
Oh, okay.
But
I
that's probably the dumbest one that we've had.
That's the dumbest,
Yeah.
for sure. I think, like, with High Rollers, though, like, none of you guys are particularly optimized players. Like, none of us have really gone hard into, like, all right, Circle of the Moon Druid aside again, as you pointed out, that's just the base thing. But I feel like none of you guys have ever gone into it and gone like, okay, I'm going to make a particularly powerful character. You guys tend to focus more on the role-playing side of things. Yeah, exactly.
I'll just
Okay.
blow
He
his arm off.
purposefully, he's like, I'm going to make a bird, but it can't fly.
I'm going to make a barbarian with 2 left fists.
I mean, that one, they can still hit with that. That's fine. But
Yeah. I'd say actually Rhiannon's probably come in as like our new member who's like, because Alzra's kind of got like a weird class combo that's very powerful. She did a fighter samurai death domain cleric. And the death domain cleric is just, I hadn't even looked into it. And then she showed me her character sheet.
Yeah.
And I was like, hang on a minute, this Channel Divinity says you can just do extra 25 damage on a hit.
But that is a very high level.
Yeah.
That's like level 16, 17.
She
so
is
that's
super creative. Rhiannon.
yeah.
Sorry, next question.
Told you we ramble.
Hello.
So when it comes to playing the game in general, what's the three of your favorite races and favorite classes? I mean, like combination of stuff.
Could anyone guess mine?
I'm gonna guess Druid, or at least for class.
See, I'm so torn. I love Elora just as much as I love Ayla now. I've always wanted to play Barbarian, so I really love Barbarian, but in terms of race, it's always elves with me. Like, I've played so many different types of elves, and everyone always gives me crap for it, but they're so much fun. There's so many different kinds, and yeah, so that's mine, personally.
I always like to go, I know I'm playing a very high spell casting thing now, but Ranger was so much fun. It was like the first character I made, Reynard was, and Human Ranger was just like, oh, I love it so much. It's just long-range damage and sharpshooter. Oh, it's just so many numbers and so much dice. It was great. I really, really love Ranger.
You are such a DPS player.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Although, it was quite nice. Druid was quite good because it gave you the options of sort of spell casting, but then you can also do melee when you're in sort of shapeshift and everything. So I think, that was good for variety. But Barbarian is very therapeutic if you've had a bad day. just hit things really hard.
Whacking.
And then I think for me, like, because I do get to play a lot more now than I used to. I kind of had Eternal DM for a long, long time. And I don't make my NPCs as characters. I make them as NPCs and generally don't pick classes for them. But as I've started playing more and more, my favorite races are any race where it's a child of two worlds. So half-orc, half-elf, tieflings kind of as well fall into that category. Because I think it gives you a lot of cool role-playing to play around with. You know, the idea of, how do you fit into society? How do you kind of work in how did you get into the career that you're in? Like, it kind of creates these interesting questions, but also the kind of theme of how much is your ancestry influence your future and your destiny, especially with stuff like tieflings, like how much of that is dominated by that. And then when it comes to classes, honestly, anything. I will happily play anything in the player's handbook or anything in any other book, because there's always a cool mechanic or there's always a cool trick to it that you can play around with and do something fun. And doing your own homebrew stuff is also really fun as well, to kind of play around with that. But yeah. Nice question. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi.
Hello.
Yeah. It's just like, one guy is starting the clapping, and then everyone's looking at him like, are you okay? Are we doing this?
That's our plant.
Yeah, I love it.
Hey.
Hi.
So what kind of effect do you think doing the stream has had on all of your personal lives? And or what's the coolest thing you've been able to have the opportunity to do in this time?
I've never been to America before. Well, I went to LA earlier, but then not this year, I mean.
This year was
it
the
was
first
this
time.
year, Tom.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, the first time I went abroad on a plane, I've never been on a plane before.
Until this year.
Until like this year.
And High Rollers made that happen.
And it was to go to like TwitchCon and the LA D&D Live and PAX.
Yeah.
And I've got to see so many cool places and meet so many cool people, including all of you, of course.
You get to sit and play with me every week.
I mean, you got to have some downsides, but it's...
I was waiting for it.
It's been an incredible experience, and I've got to do so many cool things that I never would have expected from just rolling dice every Sunday with your friends. And it's great. It's incredible.
Yeah, like when we started High Rollers, there was just a spare stream slot on the Yogscast channel, and we thought, oh, well, we want to play D&D anyway, so let's stream it and see. We'll just do that for a few streams while they figure out something else to replace it on that slot. And then it kind of took off, and none of us expected that at all. We didn't think that we'd still be here 3 years later, and we'd be given the opportunity to come out here and go to all of these events. It's just, none of that was expected. So we've had so many opportunities, and it's thanks to you guys. It's thanks to you guys supporting us and watching us. So thank you, because you've given us a lot of opportunities.
Yeah. I think it's crazy for me. I grew up, and out of everybody, I'd been playing D&D the longest. I think for most of you guys, High Rollers was your first experience in playing Dungeons and Dragons as a whole. But for me, I've been playing it since I was a teenager. Me and my friends in school, we would literally get home from school, eat food, scoff down food, and then we'd be straight into playing D&D 5 nights a week whenever we could. And we spent years playing those campaigns, and me and my friends would like look at what Wizards were doing, and we'd be on the Wizards website looking up all the new books coming out and getting really excited. And I would listen to things like the Acquisitions Incorporated podcasts, and to me it was like just it was looking at this thing that I just thought was amazing. And now being in High Rollers and getting to not just like come out here and do things like these shows and stuff, but my career is Dungeons and Dragons now. I was working in the games industry, and I was very unhappy for a long time. Even though that's an amazing job, it wasn't quite what I wanted to do, and it wasn't giving me that fulfillment in life. And now I'm in a position where my day job is the thing I love the most in the world, and I get to do it every day. I get to spend time with my buds every Sunday. I get to come and talk to people about Dungeons and Dragons.
Are you getting emotional?
Always. That's me. But yeah.
I'm hearing some preemptive
Adorable.
claps.
Like, yay! Cry, Englishman, cry! But no, and it's genuinely changed my life. And I know that's a hyperbole to say, but it really has. I've gone from doing something I wasn't, really happy doing to something I love. Getting to do stuff like PAX. Like on Monday, we're going to be playing D&D on the same stage that Ack Inc. played on. I've been at the crit roll table as a player. These things have been huge for me, and I'm very, very lucky, and I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you.
And it's all thanks to everyone here and everyone
absolutely.
Thank you.
in the community.
Everyone here, everyone at home, everyone who supported us in High Rollers. Our community's just been amazing.
Sorry, another very long answer.
Thank you so much. And
a great
thank you for
question.
Kellyanna.
Thank
you.
She's a treasure.
Thank
you so much.
So this is for the players so that the DM can compose himself for a minute.
Thanks, appreciate it.
I was wondering what inspired your character names, not only this campaign, but previous characters. For instance, I was wondering if you got Ayla, like from Clan of the Cave Bear.
Ayla actually does have a meaning. I didn't want a surname because there was sort of the whole clan thing, and that's sort of part of her backstory. But Ayla actually means from the strong place in Scottish Gaelic. So that's fitting for just so many things. I like to sort of Google like meanings for things, and I knew that when I wanted Ayla to have a very Celtic, very Scottish sort of background and sort of put my own Scottish heritage in there, that I wanted to have something that meant something in Gaelic. So I started Googling words and finding things, and that was the first one that came up, and I went, that is exactly the right name for this character, because it just means everything that she is, really. So that was her. For Elora, it was very much fantasy name generator to start with for the first name, but her surname Galanadel means moon whisper, so it sort of had the moon thing in there, and the moon spire became a thing. So that was hers. Elora was just a pretty name at the start that I sort of put in, but yeah, Ayla definitely has a lot of meaning.
Cool. When I made Reynard from the Lightfall campaign, that was the first time rolling up a character, and I sat down with Mark and did a load of stuff and said, I know I want his name to be Reynard because it just sounded cool. But then he came in like 20 minutes later after we'd finished up, and he was like, oh, by the way, you need a last name. And I was just, Farahorn. And just came out of nowhere. And I think that fit quite well. As for Quill or Keelek Ad Kalar, I can't even remember. I think it was like fantasy name generator. Again, but then I saw just a couple of them, and a lot of them for Aarakocra had like these Ks and hard sounds and sort of noises and the way that birds would speak, and that's kind of where I got that from. Plus there's also like a Mayan sort of Aztec vibe with Quill and the naming conventions and his sort of entire race, and I kind of wanted to carry that on to his character as well. There was a lot of little bits, and eventually it got to that point. Also, I love making characters with names that you can shorten down to like one syllable. So Keelek, Quill. That works. I like that.
Yeah.
What about like, in terms of, that's the names, but what about like the personality and their like, why did you pick like Ranger or their fighting style? Like, because you wanted to be like specifically like you chose crossbow for Reynard, and you had like certain like vibes for the character. Like, what about like personality and like their background and stuff? Any inspiration?
So Reynard was literally, I play that character in any MMO or like any game that gives you the option to play a long-range archer or total douche character, I'll play that. So that's what I want to do. I just wanted to replicate something I already knew and something I already emulate in the games I play. Whereas Quill, he went through a massive personality shift when we did our session 0, which was the off-stream, like, right, here's a place to just test your characters. And he was almost like Reynard, and he was like this cocky ace pilot kind of character. And I just didn't really enjoy it. And then I saw this artwork that someone did when we announced our characters, and it was Quill stood in the middle of the group of people, and he was like, had like a sweat bead, and I was like, oh my God, that's it, that's Quill. And someone, a fan artist, had managed to capture a character better than I had even thought of. And that's kind of where a lot of the inspiration for what Quill is now came from. Cool. And yeah.
Yeah.
What about Alora? What about like personality-wise and stuff?
Personality-wise, Alora, because she was my first character, I kind of kept her quite like myself, but an exaggerated version. And from there, she sort of became this overly sensitive, caring person. That happened as she evolved. But I started sort of very similar to myself because I didn't want to give myself too much of a challenge because it was my first character. With Ayla, it was very much, I want to not be caring about everyone all the time. I want to do something a bit different. So sort of going with the barbarian thing, just making her a little bit harsher and a little bit more less willing to let people in, and yeah. So.
Well, there was some stuff because we talked about the wild elves in Erois, which was I kind of took wood elves from traditional D&D and we kind of changed it a little bit and made them more Viking-esque. And I think we talked about how like she's become very toughened by living in the lowlands, and that's kind of developed her.
So believe it or not, I wasn't actually going to play an elf.
What?
But then
Really?
Mark came to me and went, Viking elves. And I was like, oh no.
Damn it.
There we go.
Damn it, you got me.
He got me. So
Dragged you back in.
Yeah.
Mark's wild elves I essentially just gave. I knew that I wanted it to have some kind of Scottish type involvement, but him saying, "Oh yeah, I've got these Viking elves," I was like, excellent. This fits in with this world perfectly. So that's where Ayla came from.
I'm gonna jump in and answer the question. Anyway. And I know it's not high rollers, but I was going to just talk a little bit, like, obviously I made Kaliana for Critical Role, and a lot of that inspiration for that character came, and I think that I actually think it's more common than not. Obviously, I'm a guy playing a female character, but for me, Kaliana was an opportunity to play elements of my personality that, in society are not traditionally allowed. I wanted to, explore that kind of side of me that's a bit more sensitive and likes, cute things, and a bit more feminine side of my personality, but also giving her this kind of harsher, crueler, kind of quite, draconic, bestial side to kind of counterbalance that as well, which is kind of I like to do combat in D&D. I like to fight stuff, and finding a way to balance the two kind of thing in that as well. So.
What about her name?
That was just I just came up with it. It was just like, I had the character sheet and I was trying to think of names. Because it's like a half-elf, you can get away with human-y names. So I was just like, Kaliana, done. So there you go. Thanks very much for the question.
Thank you.
Another very long answer.
I love Long Island answers, Tom.
Long answers. Have you got a long question?
I do indeed.
Fantastic.
Ooh, that's scary. We've gotten into it a little bit already, but I'm mostly just curious, when you're role-playing characters or NPCs or whatever it may be, do you prefer playing characters that are like you in real life? Do you prefer ones that are different? How do you go about making those kinds of decisions? And where do you fall in that spectrum?
Yes.
Yes.
Wow, really?
Short answers now. I absolutely do. Don't clap that. I mean, obviously I need something to draw on, and like I said with Reynard, it's characters that I've played in so many other games already that I feel like I just can draw on that straight away. And with Quill, I've said it 100 times, he's extremely shy, extremely meek, extremely timid, extremely scared of everything, and that's
not like you at all.
That's exactly like me in every situation. I just draw on that, in a very exaggerated form of that, obviously, but I absolutely like to make characters that are based on facets of my personality.
Yeah, I'd say I do too, for sure. But I do want to sometimes branch out from that. And it's just a bit intimidating, I think. It's a bit scary when you're going into, especially playing a new character, And if you're trying to make it something very different to what you're like naturally, I find that quite intimidating because we're streaming it. I don't know, like I think it would be different if it was a home game where you're sitting just in your living room, but that slight knowledge that there's going to be a lot of people watching that, and there's a little bit of pressure there. So I think it's easier definitely for me to play something closer to what I'm like. Yeah. But I try to push out from that occasionally.
Well, I think we also have the thing with our group and the people that we are, like, we don't go... We have the kind of emotional RP moments, but we're not, like, shouting at each other and, like, you know, yelling at each other and stuff like that. Maybe Kim does a little bit. But I feel that means that, you know, it can be quite hard to portray a character entirely without going to those extremes sometimes. You know, I kind of come from an acting background, and especially being a DM where you're having to play so many different characters, I feel that sometimes, like, you can put that stuff on, but to do it really well, you really have to be committed to the mindset. You have to really be in the moment. And when you're jumping out to roll dice, when you're jumping out to check a map or like think about those things, I think it can throw people off quite easily. So I think playing a character that builds on facets of your existing personality is a really smart move, especially for people who aren't, you know, who are new to the game, especially.
Yeah, definitely. Even if it's just a small part, it's really useful to think, if I was in this situation, what would I do? And sort of go from that as well. I find that really useful. Yeah. Also, this is why I avoid doing accents in games, because then I think, now I've got to keep that up for 3 hours a week. And someone in chat is going to go, that's a terrible accent.
See, I love doing accents because I find that helps me not be me. Like, by doing a voice, it helps create a mask that you're kind of putting on. So being able to do that is a big help for me, doing the voices and stuff. And it's the same thing when I go LARPing as well. Like, people tend to, like, play exaggerated versions of themselves, and because it's so much more natural, especially when it's you in costume and stuff like that. So, yeah, cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So are we supposed to ask non-spoiler questions then? I have a Smeek-related question.
Well,
he doesn't want to hear it.
I don't want to. Yeah, I don't want to hear it.
No,
cover your ears if you're not caught up.
Cover your ears if you're not caught up.
He's covered his ears immediately. Yep, there you go. Covering ears.
There's a couple.
I'm just curious if you had planned the current Smeek situation as soon as you saw Tom's initial reaction about Smeek.
That's really good. That's a great question. No. So, and I'll avoid the spoilers. So if you don't know, in our current Erois campaign, like all dungeon masters, the party met some goblins, and one of them I was just like, I gave him a silly voice, and he was going around going, blah, 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 like just being weird. And obviously players loved him. And like a bunch of them, obviously like Rhiannon and Katie are like, I love this, like, who is this goblin?
Protect him at all costs.
And so I gave him a name, and I was like, oh, this is Smeek. And he just became a bit of a kind of like follow the party around. You know, this has happened in every D&D game known to man. It's not anything that's happened. What I didn't expect was this guy's reaction to it. So, and I was just playing it out. I'm like, this goblin has like an intelligence of 6. He's just going to run it. He's going to interrupt things. He's going to get bored. He's just going to cause trouble. That's exactly what I wanted him to be, is just disruption.
He was a nice little bit of comedy relief.
Look at this guy. He hates talking about it.
I'm a D&D speedrunner, and he gets in the way all the time. And just when I'm about to do something cool, or someone's about to do something cool, and he just, oh, God.
I can't take it.
And so, well, the thing is so with that, like, I saw this reaction, and it made me laugh, but, I mean, goblins
it only fueled him.
Goblins have, like, 7 HP. And so, I had so many people be like, are you going to give Smeek class levels now? And I'm like, no, he's a goblin. He's staying exactly what it is, and he'll probably die at some point. And now this is where the spoilers come in.
Cover your ears.
But the current situation...
You can hear us.
You probably can. No, but it was a funny thing. If we went home after the session of when certain events took place, cones of cold were involved. We got home, and I started thinking, and my fiancée Nina and I were talking, and she was like, "Oh no, that's a shame," like blah blah blah. And then I was like, "Wait a minute. I set up that he really wanted to die in a certain way. Interesting." And then I wrote some stuff, and I sent a screenshot to one of our players, Rhiannon, which just had the words "ghost smeek," and and she loved it. And yeah, the rest is history.
Yeah, it was just when the little blue light appeared, and Tom was like, "What's this going to be? Fucking ghost smeek?" And Mark just went,
smile. That damn smile. But who's the character that has turn undead?
Yeah, do you reckon you're a high enough level?
That's the worst part.
He can't do anything about it.
Quill wouldn't.
Yeah, Tom hates
I've
him.
never been so separated from my character before. Quill is too kind and too innocent.
Well, the
It's
thing is,
me that
the
doesn't
thing
like
about
him.
Ayla is that Ayla would be like, this thing is annoying. He's following us around. Get rid of him. But
Excellent.
Katie loves him too much,
Yeah.
so it's not going away.
Good. And that's a classic thing of like knowing your players and knowing their characters and pandering. Dastardly DM pandering.
Mark knows me and Rhiannon too well.
Yeah. But yeah.
It's great.
How's that?
Thank you for your Smeek interlude in Tom's faces. It's great.
Worth it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
If anybody has any more questions, jump up. It can be about anything. It doesn't even have to be about high rollers. Ask us about weird British stuff. I don't know.
Really worried that when you said it can be about anything,
Sorry,
like
go.
2 or 3, quite a few people.
Yeah, good.
stood up.
Right, that's fine. Next question.
Hey, I was wondering about how much time you spend every week prepping for episodes of High Rollers.
Yeah, that's a good question. So, and I feel it's boring because you two can't really.
No, go for it.
I turn up 5 minutes
You
before
just
we
saw
start.
the
don't-
entire game for us. I mean, you can talk if you want.
No. So I spend too much time planning. I recognize this, like especially because I follow the D&D community on like Twitter and Reddit and stuff quite a lot. I spend quite a long time doing prep. So I will come in we stream on a Sunday. We stream at 5 p.m. in the UK time, and I'm generally in the office from about midday. And I will spend that time writing up my notes, planning the encounters, building like Dwarven Forge maps and stuff. But I'll also spend time during the week where I'll just think of general ideas, maybe write notes, bullet points down. But I like to spend a lot of time, like almost not quite writing out like a full adventure, but I will go into quite a lot of detail because then when I come to play, I don't need to look at my notes because I've just written it. So it's kind of fresh in my head and I've kind of worked a lot of the details out. But I'll do things like for the campaign that we play in at the moment, I have a big campaign Bible, which I just add to whenever I have ideas or when I think of stuff. And that kind of just sits at the ready if I need to quickly look something up. But I probably spend, like a good sort of like 4 hours, probably actually more, probably about like 6 hours a week. But that also includes like building the Dwarven Forge maps, doing things like making sure like the lighting, like helping our tech guys set the cameras up and stuff like that. But I want to do less of that. So I actually bought, I don't know if you guys know Sly Flourish's Lazy Dungeon Master. Some nods from DMs. Really, really good. It's just a great kind of method of speeding up your prep time and condensing your notes down. And I'm trying to incorporate more ideas from that into my prep as well.
The Mary Kondo of DM prep.
It really is. No, I was going to do a YouTube video about this, which was like basically the Mary Kondoing of D&D notes. Because with world prep and campaign prep, I think the same principles apply, which is if you love it, keep it. If it brings you no joy, get rid of it. So it's the idea of like if you're planning an encounter in and you're going to throw an encounter in just to fill up time or to like, give them some XP, if that encounter doesn't bring you joy, get rid of it and replace it with something that does give you joy.
Nice.
Cool. Yeah, nobody's laughing and then I feel really sad. But I think it's a good idea. Shut up. But thanks for the question.
Yeah. Nice, thank you. The question clap.
Don't laugh at me.
Sorry, thank you.
Sick of you.
Oh. Hello.
Hello. Just what is your most notable home rule for your game?
Oh, sorry, what was that? The most...
home rules, like you make your
Oh, yeah.
own rules for the game. What's your most notable home rule for your game?
Ooh.
The injury table isn't a house
Injury
rule, is
table's
it?
pretty.
The injury table is an expanded rule from the DMG. So the Dungeon Master's Guide has an injury table. So when you take, I think in the DMG version, it's something like when you take a critical hit or you're reduced to 0 hit points, I think. And I kind of adapted it and expanded it. So we use that, and that's come up quite a few times, hasn't it, Tom?
Yep. Yeah.
You've lost how many?
43.
3?
3.
4 maybe. Some of them have come back.
Yeah,
but-
you've got very unlucky with those.
Yeah, I love it. It's my favorite.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about why you love it?
Because I love, just the moment when someone goes down and the table goes a little bit quiet and then I just sort of sneak my head in. Hey,
Injury check.
injury check. You're about to lose a limb.
So you love the Schadenfreude of it all.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And it just adds a lot of weight to the combat as well. Like memorable repercussions of things that went wrong in combat. And also a visual way to just enhance your character from the beginning of the campaign to the end. And my character is now totally different to how he started.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It's created some cool game moments.
Yeah, very, very cool game moments. It's also made otherwise average encounters feel just so much more powerful and so much more fun. And I love it.
Well, that's why I kind of did it, because I feel like in traditional D&D, especially in 5th edition, there's become this bit of a kind of trend of whack-a-mole, which is a character goes to 0, they get healed, they go down to 0 again, they get healed, because it's the most efficient way of using the healing. And I kind of don't like that as much. I don't feel that that's as cinematic, it's not as fun. So we create this system, which is basically if a character goes to 0, they make a Constitution saving throw. If they fail the saving throw, they roll a d20, which is a chart of injuries, with 1 being the worst and 20, like 18, 19, 20 being nothing. And then it gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And it's created really fun games because, like, early on in the campaign, a player broke their leg, and it became like this thing of, we've got to get around with this character, and like the movement was slowed down, and it made that like any monsters that were chasing after them became more of a threat.
Yeah, because we were too low level to have the wealth to do anything about it at that point. So that it became like it's a broken leg, but it became a thing that you were having to think about quite a lot. So then there was this danger whenever we went into combat of if any of us go down, how long is it going to be before we're in a town and have the money to fix this problem?
Yeah, it changed the tactics quite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It became scarier. And hopefully people learn and heal people before they go to 0.
Oh, me?
Maybe.
Yeah, no.
I'm trying to think about the house rules.
I think there was one we introduced very, very recently, and it was the Have Fun coin.
We keep forgetting about it.
We keep forgetting about it, but it's literally just if you roll 3 bad rolls in a row, you get this Have Fun coin. It's essentially just inspiration. That's all the way it operates.
Yeah, if you fail really badly 3 times in a row.
Yeah, because we found there were sessions where someone would just come out of it and was like, I just didn't do anything. And
I didn't have fun. That was my biggest problem, is like, D&D is a great game. I love D&D, but I'm sure many of you have been there where you just can't roll above a 3 for like a night. And it's just like 2, 1, 2, 1. And the game's mechanics aren't built to give you something for that. Like, it's just, you fail. That's it. There's just, you fail, you don't get anything.
You're just having a bad day.
You're just having a bad day.
Yeah.
And that's just not really fun. Whereas, like, I've been playing a lot of games recently where there was the fail but with a cost, or fail but get advantage, or earn XP and stuff like that. And I wanted to kind of bring something like that in. And I think it's something to think about. It's not right, the system that we came up with. It's not perfect.
No.
But I think it's something that I'd like to try and build on. So
Yeah, I think that's the thing, is just trying those rules. Like, if you think there's something that's going to improve your game, try it out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
But then,
and even for us, we
work on
change stuff as we go. Like Tom recently brought up an issue with the injury checks, which we're going to incorporate because you can change it. That's the nice thing with that kind of stuff. Perfect. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you.
Another very long, rambly answer.
We should probably start rattling through some of these.
So I think that's going to be the last question. So at the end, you're going to be our last one.
Yeah.
Yes.
You're going to be our last one. Hi.
Hello. This is kind of a mini story time question.
Sure.
Something that I like to ask anybody that I meet that does D&D in their spare time. What is your favorite moment or memory from D&D that you've done off the camera, at home, with your friends? Like, what is your favorite moment that you like to regale?
Ooh.
That is a good question, man.
Yeah.
So, off High Rollers, what's our favorite moment, I guess?
Yeah. But I think, like, because I know, like, you know.
I haven't played off stream.
Well, we play every week.
We play every week, but because my job has been quite demanding, like, I've got High Rollers is just a hobby on the side for me, so I've got a full-time job as well, and I've been traveling a lot for that, so I don't have much time to join other games at the moment.
You can pick a High Rollers moment then.
Yeah, you can pick a High Rollers one.
Bad off screen.
I think when... I think that it was the top of the tower for Alora with on the Winter Spire when she shot. Yeah. I think that's my favorite for Alora was the Winter Spire arc, sort of coming to a close there.
Yeah.
That was my favorite.
The Crown of Black Ice and the kind of battle for that, basically.
Yeah, and the moonbow, sort of getting the moonbow. That's probably mine.
So my favorite moment outside of High Rollers, playing D&D, I DM'd once for a group of people, and they all knew of RPGs, and they knew of those sorts of games and how D&D kind of works, but they were very tentative and didn't quite understand the rules completely. And, you know, the first hour or two, there was like, no, you have to do this, you roll that for this, you roll that for this, and there was a lot of explanation and things like that. And then there was just this very obvious point where they suddenly just sort of like got it, and it was just so satisfying because it was, before that it was kind of stumbling and it was kind of slow and awkward and a little bit scary, like, are you actually having fun? No, you're okay. But then there was a moment where they just got the rules completely and it was just a super, super fun session, and everyone clearly had like a great time, and I'm an incredible dungeon master, as it turns out.
Absolutely.
And that was it was just so much fun. They finally got it, and we had a really good time.
Yeah, that click moment's really satisfying.
Yeah.
I think for me, there's two for me. One, which was from when I was a kid, and we were playing in my home game when I was at school. And in that campaign, it was GM'd by my best friend, Harry, and I had the worst luck. This was 3rd edition D&D, where there was a ton of, like, save or die, basically. Like, if you fail this saving throw, you're dead. And I had this terrible habit of my characters would just not last sessions. So it would be like, 4, 5 sessions dead, 6 sessions dead, 7 sessions dead. And it was just bad luck. It was just like really bad dice rolls, or the other players made bad decisions and I paid the price for it. But then I was like, okay, I've created this super badass elf assassin. I've written this cool backstory for him. I was like 15 as a point. And he's like super cool, and I've given him like all these points in Intimidate because he's so legendary that he just has to say his name and then everyone's scared of him. And it's really cool, and he's got like a backstory. It was mega edgelord. And so we'd been planning this session. I was really excited. I was like, okay, this is the one. He's gonna survive. I've made him really tough. Swings in, breaks through a window. First thing I do is make an Intimidate check, scares away all the guards, and I'm like, yeah, I've done it. I've made my guy. He's a badass. Beholder literally comes up through the floor, flesh to stone. 1. I look at the rest of the party, and they're like, we're not resurrecting you. You'll come back at a lower level, and then that screws us over. Make a new character. I was in that session for 5 minutes.
Wow. That's pretty.
So that was a good one. And then more recently, I've been playing in a game by my friend Robin. Also features Kit Buss, if you know Critical Role, the artist, she plays in that as well. And I'm playing the most soft boy druid. He loves everything, and he's really chill. But I've kind of given him like this backstory involving lots of fae and weird stuff that's going on. And we were fighting this like centaur and these bandits. And he had a bag, and the GM, Robin, she kept kind of being like, yeah, you notice like the bag's moving around, like something's living inside. And all of the rest of the players are like, do not touch this bag. Bad news. Like, do not go anywhere near it. And obviously, me being me, I'm like, I pick up the bag, and I'm going to see inside. And as I just said, I'm going to put my hands in and pull out whatever's inside, and I'm just going to hold it. And Robin's like, okay, you do this. You pull out a baby griffin. And I just was like... And they all looked at me, and then Robin turns around and says, like, you've picked it up, it's imprinted on you. It thinks it's your mother. And I was just like, yes! It was a good time.
That noise! I don't think I've ever heard you make that noise.
No, that was amazing.
I don't think I could make that noise again.
No.
But there you go.
That was a super short answer. No, it wasn't. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That's my fault. I had a story to tell, okay?
We really need to rattle through these ones.
Okay, so Mark, this one's for you. Do you have any future campaigns that you are, like campaign settings that you are looking forward to running?
Yes. Okay. No, yeah, I am. I've always got something in the works. Like, that's the problem. I have this thing of I can't just be happy with what I'm doing. I'm always making the next thing. So I've already planned out the next main High Rollers campaign. I've got like the basic idea for it and stuff.
What?
I don't want to talk about it too much. Yeah, I know.
Just in case of that.
Just in
TPK,
case.
you know?
Just in case. You never know when a TPK is going to happen. But then also with the news that the new Eberron book has just been kind of leaked or announced, I really want to do a campaign which is Fantasy Cops, which is the show Cops with wizards.
Yeah, you've told us this one.
I really want to run that one. And that's the answer.
That's the
done.
answer. Bam. Well, there you go.
Nice. Thank you.
Season 3 revealed?
Season 3 revealed.
Basically Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but D&D.
Yeah, that's exactly what I want. That's exactly what I want.
Sorry, hello.
Do the three of you have a favorite pre-made campaign module from Wizards of the Coast?
Ooh. We've played through a lot of them, so.
Yeah.
I think Curse of Strahd is really cool.
Curse of Strahd is very cool.
It just sounds so cool and spooky and
Avernus has been very fun. Avernus has been very fun and very dark and very skulls and very blood, but it's been very fun.
It's been interesting.
I had a little skim read through of Ghost of Saltmarsh as well. Haven't run that yet, but that seems super fun.
Yeah.
Pirates.
Yeah, Ghost of Saltmarsh is like, it's very traditional D&D as well.
Yeah.
But I think like Curse of Strahd has like such a strong theme. It's like really cool. And then Avernus, like, I've read the Avernus book, it's real good.
I touched it the other day when we were in the wizard's office. I was like,
yeah, no.
That's this thing.
There's
Nobody knows.
The nice thing with Avernus is there's a lot of different stuff in it. So it's got like a bit of like city stuff, and then it's got the hell stuff. It's got cool mechanics. It has like hell war machines, like motorbikes.
It's really cool.
It's really cool. Yeah.
It's super cool.
Nice.
Thanks very much.
Now I feel bad that was quick.
Okay.
You were the one who said.
Yeah. Hello.
Non-D&D questions, so please feel free to skip it and get to their questions, especially since this is the second time I've been up here. Anybody willing to share their thoughts on Brexit?
I like how quickly he walked away after he asked that question. He was just like, Brexit.
Just like, Brexit, see ya!
Bye.
Mic drop.
That's pretty much what our
That's our
partner
thought
did,
of it.
I think. Yeah.
See ya.
So I do have a funny thing about Brexit though, which is we did a talk at TwitchCon Europe.
That one.
We did a talk at TwitchCon Europe, and me and Katie were meant to be speakers at it, and we wrote a script. And I put in it at the very start a Brexit joke, and I was a bit
We were in Germany, by the way.
This is in Germany, and I'm like, I've written a Brexit. Is this going to go down well?
Yeah.
Funniest laugh of the whole show. Nailed it.
Yeah.
But it could have gone one of either way. And he
really
said it, and we both went.
And then everyone laughed.
Everyone laughed, and we were like, oh.
That's it.
Joke?
I'm not saying anymore.
What was the joke?
I
What
feel
did
like
you say?
us saying we don't want to talk about it. I think that sort of sums it up very well.
No, but you said, I think, what was the joke? It was something about never splitting the party.
No, it was, the joke was, there was that. That was a really bad bit. But the joke was, we were supposed to be talking about cooperation in Europe.
Our topic was cooperation.
Yeah, and I think I made the joke.
It was like collaboration. Collaboration.
And I made the joke of like, well, they got two British people to talk about collaboration during all of Brexit. That was a great idea, Twitch, or something like that. And it got a good laugh. So that's it. Done.
That was it.
Hi.
Hi there.
Hello.
So I heard you mention something about your fiance, and it made me think, how do your family members and loved ones react and think about you guys streaming?
Oh, that's a cool
very
question.
interesting question.
We've never had that.
No, we've never had that
That's
question.
a really cool question.
I said RP in front of my dad once. Oh, how he laughed. No, they are totally chill with it. Like, they still think it's super nerdy. I mean, it's a very common, I want to say misconception, and it is. Yeah. They think it's the nerdiest thing I could possibly do, and I mean,
even though it gets you flown out to America.
Yeah.
That's the thing, yeah.
Yeah, they're not going to burn the books and call me a devil worshipper or anything like that, but yeah, no, they are super happy with it. Like, they're not going to watch it.
But they're happy for you.
They're happy.
You're having fun.
I'm having fun, and that's all that matters.
No, my family 100% don't really understand what it is, but my dad really tries to. So,
Sweet.
one week, I remember I just had such a busy work week that I'd forgotten to like text them back for the entire week. And I phoned them like after the session that night, and my dad was like, we actually had to tune in to Twitch to make sure you were alive. So that was useful. And he was just like, yeah, we tuned in and we saw you doing stuff. I was like, oh, okay, what part did you see? He was like, you just hit something with a very big hammer. I was like, yeah, that sounds like me, yeah.
Yeah.
But they're like hugely supportive of it. And whenever we get new merchandise, they're always like really like keen to know what it is. And they're always asking when we're going on trips and things like that. So, yeah.
They're very sweet. My fiance Nina, she's actually the one who did all of our character art. She works for Yugscast, and she's an illustrator, so she does all of our character art for us, and she loves it. Like she's into D&D, but doesn't necessarily enjoy playing it. We tried once long ago. She made the sparkliest, happiest drow that you've ever seen, who like loved unicorns and spoke like this, and that was like her character. And we made a short fantasy comic based on it because it was just a great character. But yeah, she's really good, and she always likes doing character art and stuff like that.
Yeah, she enjoys making character art. Because we can just go crazy. Like here's an idea, and she's like, excellent.
Yeah, well, as an illustrator, that's like her favorite thing is character design. My parents, I have a funny story with my parents. My dad, he's a very traditional English dad. He loves football, and he used to be a builder, and he loves beers, and like he's just a really dad's dad. But he's also like, I grew up with him doing theater and doing like pantomime and things like that, and he would always play the dame and things like that. So I always had that kind of like entertainer side from him. And he was like, I don't get this D&D thing. I just don't get it. It's weird. It's really nerdy. And he kind of had like this funny thing about it. And then for, I think it was like my 15th or 16th birthday, I said, listen, I just want to have my friends over and just play D&D in peace with snacks and drinks and stuff like that. And the plan was that my parents were going to go away and we'd have the house to ourselves for an evening.
House party.
D&D house party. Oh, what a cool guy I was. But ended up, my mum got quite sick, and they basically had to stay home. And my house wasn't huge. My dad didn't have anywhere to go, so he was just sat in the living room while we were on the dining table playing. And he's like, oh, fine, I'll put my headphones on. I won't bother you. And I was like, okay, yeah, fine. And you could see, like, as we're playing, and he'd cock his head, and then the headphones came off, and he was, like, listening in. And he'd come over, and he'd be like, do you guys want a drink? Do you want anything to me? And then he'd kind of linger and, like, look at what we were doing.
Well, like, put a drink down, like, yeah, but what are you doing next?
Yeah. Like, are you going to kill this goblin or not? But no, and he kind of got into it, and he was like watching it, and then at the end, like when all my friends went home, he was like, okay, I get your weird nerd game now. It seems pretty fun.
Yeah.
You should probably, do you always have to play all these women? Like, or can you have more men in it? I was like, I could, but I like mixing it up. He was like, oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But no, so yeah, it's been quite a good thing. I think we're lucky in the UK in that like most of our parents are pretty chill about it all.
Yeah. Also, my partner, I think, is actually High Roller's biggest fan.
Yeah,
I think she is.
loves it.
Tash absolutely loves it. When I first made Reynard, she made like a spell book for him.
Yeah.
Like this.
It was adorable.
Incredible. It had like all the proper font and everything, and every page was. Oh, it was so nice.
She's so sweet.
She also like knitted me a little crochet Reynard as well.
Sweet. Too pure, too wholesome.
She loves every character I make, and every time I get back, I'm like, did you watch it? What do you think? And she's like, yeah, it was great. Such instant validation.
Instant validation. But thank you for the question. That's a really awesome question.
That was a great question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Last one.
Hi.
I like the leaning up.
I like that you have to lean up to the microphone. It's great.
It's a little tall, but that's okay.
Cool.
So I was going to ask some goofy British questions that I got from my husband.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
First one is, how do you spell Ian?
Ian?
I-A-N.
I-A-N. Is that wrong?
That's my dad's name.
No. He works with a bunch of British people, and they always spell his name I-A-I-N.
Yeah, they're wrong.
Yeah, there are. That's interesting. Like, yeah, I know people who have it spelt both ways, but my dad is I-A-N, so.
Who puts the other I in?
I know quite a few people. Horrified.
Mind blown. Okay.
They just need as many vowels as possible.
I love that this is the last question. How do you spell Ian?
She's got more.
Okay,
I have
sorry.
one
Next
more
one.
goofy British question.
Yeah.
What is the best version of rugby, and why is it league?
Can I have an alternative question as a response to that? It's a really weird segue, but the American Office is amazing, by the way.
What?
It's
Like the
very
UK
good.
Office.
I'm lost.
UK Office is trash tip
That was
in
a
comparison
segue.
to the American Office. I know the question was about rugby, but it was kind of like the US versus UK comparison. The American Office is incredible.
Scotland
What
are
was
not
the
bad
actual-
at rugby.
Stop talking about The Office.
It's great.
Rugby. I don't actually watch rugby,
That's
so
right.
I can't answer that question.
I saw one match. Scotland were playing someone else. I can't remember. Yeah, but we lost, and I've never watched it again. So
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Fair point.
Cool.
Thank you.
I think that's literally our
Thank
time.
you.
That's our time. Thank you for that final question.
Yeah, I love it. I love
thank
it.
you so much.
Yeah, seriously, guys, thank you so much for coming. Thank you guys for coming to see us here in this panel. Like I mentioned, if you're here on Monday, please come and check out the
Please come
live
check
game
it
at
out.
the Paramount Theatre, 12 till 2. Nate Sharp's going to join us, Aaron M. Evans as well. It will be streamed, I think, on the main PAX one as well, but we'd love to have people in the audience. It's going to be really fun. It's going to be a one-shot. And if you want to see more of us and our game, twitch.tv/yogscast or twitch.tv/HighRollersD&D every 5 p.m. UK time.
Every 5 p.m.
Every 5 p.m.
Every Sunday
every
at 5
day.
p.m.
Every Sunday at 5 p.m. It's been a long day. Come on, watch us. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you so much. You've
Have a
been
great
incredible.
PAX.